90.3 FM. With your host, Lisa Ehrenberg. For the woman who thought she had everything, now there's more. Women Speak. Informative, enlightening. Women Speak. Controversial and up-to-date. Women Speak. For women and men who want more. Serious discussions on serious issues. Want to discover what today's woman is thinking about? Listen to Women Speak. Every Friday evening at 6:30 on 90.3 FM, WBAU.
Let's Make Love, John Glimmer on 90.3 WBAU. Let's figure out what else we heard. We heard Till Tomorrow by Marvin Gaye, and we started it off by something new that I like by Simple Mind, Promise Me a Miracle. Listen up, Operations Crossroad Africa, an organization focusing on international development and cultural exchange, needs people for its summers projects in Africa. If you want to join in on the fun and adventure, call 212-242-8550. That's 212-242-8550. Once again, that's 242-8550. That's a 212 area code. That, my friend, coming from the WBAU Community Bulletin. Looking at 16 in front of the hour of 11 o'clock on deck right now. Sports Diary, we're going to take a 15-minute break. I'll be back at about 3 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock with so much more music. So you keep it in tune to 90.3 WBAU. Be right back. Take it away, Doug.
WBAU Garden City. Hi, I'm Doug Miles, Sports Director. Good afternoon and welcome to Long Island's Informative Alternative. Tonight from 5 until 6, WBAU presents The Sound of Poetry. And at 6, WBAU brings you the latest in local, state, and national information on the 6 o'clock evening report. At 6:30, we present Healthline with Tim Smith. And at 7, we round things out with the sounds of the 50s with Bill Doherty. Stay tuned to Adelphi University's FM 90.3 WBAU. Tapping in on some of the most exciting college sporting events, we are WBAU. This is Doug Miles, Sports Director, and this year promises to be one of the best for island-wide collegiate athletics. WBAU will bring you basketball, baseball, soccer, and more. On top of all of this, we give you a chance to get involved and talk sports with us. Fridays at 6:30 p.m., WBAU presents Sport Talk, the call-in show designed with you, the listener, in mind. Sports and you, the perfect combo on 90.3 WBAU, Long Island's sound of sport. That's just great music, isn't it? Swing music, the sounds of the 40s. This is Doug Miles, and I promise a swingy evening when we get together Thursdays from 8 to 10 right here on WBAU 90.3 FM. Tommy Dorsey, Harry James, and the chairman of the board, Frank Sinatra, just some of those who helped to shape an era and are heard right here on the Long Island Sound of Swing. That's Thursdays, 8 to 10 p.m. on 90.3 FM, WBAU. On Saturday, February 12th, two local basketball rivals will shoot it out in Woodruff Hall. The Adelphi Lady Panthers host the Flying Dutchwoman of Hofstra University in a contest which promises plenty of action. Owns a one-hand pass down court to Pape while Alone lays it up and in. Join us at 6 p.m. on Saturday, February 12th as we bring you same-day coverage of this classic confrontation. It's another sports exclusive heard only on 90.3 FM WBAU, the home of Adelphi Panther Sports.
Hi kids, this is your old pal Soupy Sales. Now turn on your mommy and daddy's radio and tune it to 90.3 FM. That's WBAU in Garden City, the Long Island sound of who knows what. Just tell them Soupy sent you.
Soupy Sales, one of the most popular comedians in the mid-60s, is making a comeback of sorts with the release of a new album, his first in over a decade. Recently, WBAU's Dennis McCarthy had a chance to talk with Soupy as he was autographing his new record, Still Soupy After All These Years, at Roosevelt Field.
Why after all these years did you decide to release an album? Well, because I did a show at the Savoy back in May, and Bob Siners and Ray Dariana from MCA Records were there, and they said, well, we do an album. And I thought that was a great idea. So it was like my first album in about 10 years or 11 years.
So they brought up the idea and then
Yeah, sure, because they saw the nightclub act, and then they, wanted to do some stuff from the old show. So that's what we did. And I'm very happy that they did, because the album is doing real well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's like, sort of reliving some of the past, and it's,
The title is still Soupy. Is it still the same? The still same brand of humor, or are there changes from?
Oh well, there's some different things in there, but it's based on the same style, but it's updated, and I think it's very funny. What's funny is funny, and it's funny.
Some people say that because like humor, at least this past year or two, really there hasn't been any good humor albums, any good comedy.
Well, there hasn't been any comedy shows on TV either, really, with the exception of Saturday Night Live and Second City and Sha-Na-Na, which I do. There hasn't been an influx of comedy albums. That's why we're going to try and change it.
Another point too is you have a whole different audience.
Yeah, well, it always changes.
Yeah, are older, and you have.
Well, I mean, a lot of the little kids now, may not have seen my show, but they watch me on Sha-Na-Na and the game shows and the other shows. So I'm just happy that that anybody watches it.
So you're peeling all over.
I'm appealing all over, and I got to keep out of the sun because it makes me peel.
Another question should be, people have been coming up with all sorts of old albums, the 45s, old things. How does that make you feel, that people still have this stuff?
It makes me feel great, because this album, the new one, Still Soupy After All These Years, is right now a collector's item. It's just that type of a thing, and that's the way the other records and albums, because they get like from $75 to $100 for the albums at the Colony in New York, and they're collector's items, like they're getting $25 and $35 for the Mouse and Pakalapka. That's why MCA released it, because they had bought ABC Paramount Records that owned the rights to that, so they released it. So it's really like a collector's item in the album. Oh, it makes me feel good when people show up with bubblegum cards or comic books. That's very flattering to that people would think that much of you, that want to be associated and to have something to do with you, and it makes you feel good.
People have been also asking you, at least a dozen people on the line, when are you going to be back on TV?
Well, it's one of those things. It's just like I said, there are no comedy shows. You're always trying. We're talking to 2 or 3 people and 2 or 3 sources now about a show, and we hope it'll happen. It's just that I think it's got to come around eventually, because people like to laugh.
Hey, let's go to words of wisdom.
That's
They're
a
very
great
important
idea.
today. Yeah. Oh, right. Now listen now. You show me a sculptor who works in a basement, and I'll show you a low-down chiseler. Now, what do I mean by that? Yeah, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm going to tell you. What I mean is that it's a given gift to be given the gift of giving, especially where art is concerned. But of course, that's easy for me to say. Let me hammer across this concrete thought that I just marvel at the idea of anyone working stone sober to cement a link between art and life. So remember, every artist has an ego, so before you brush by something he's painting, give him a couple of strokes, and I'll bet you can actually see the watercolor return to his face. Yes.
Yes, he's still soupy after all these years, and he's still making people laugh as he's always done. I'm Doug Miles reporting for WBAU's News Close-Up.